All right, so I had to break this video up. So you control your money on WeChat or Alipay. It's just like Apple Pay, but here with this app, the government can actually you know control all the aspects of it. Um, that's kind of a scary thing. I don't want the government to control my money. So it's also good for businesses though because you can do instantaneous transactions if you're doing trade or some kind of international business. You don't have to use Western Union, and it's instantaneous. Now, this is good if you have to work from home and you can't go outside and work at an office because you can handle a lot of different things much easier with this kind of pay system. I'll get back to that in a second with the conspiracy theory that is out there. Um, so that's the blockchain. That's the virus situation. Now, I must say this: if this was intentionally done, there's a lot of different ways that you can look at this. If this was intentionally done, um, well, if this was intentionally done, that's fucked up. Um, because that means that China is willing to take a hit economically um, in order to you know take more control over the economy in the long run. They're playing the long game. If this was done intentionally, then they must have done their research and they must be messing around with some quantum computers that are out of this world because quantum computers are really only good for estimating outcomes. That's really, all the shit on TV that you see that they could, that's just, sci-fi, blah, blah, hokey pokey bullshit. The only real application for quantum computers is probability outcomes. And that means that they must have some kind of high level probability outcome calculator that they fed this information into all these different scenarios and came out with one. That more than likely, based on all these factors, Americans and the government and how Americans think and would they wear masks and what would Americans do if they had a virus and blah, 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 blah. Now you couple that with the relationship that China has with the WHO and as well as the Democrats in America, you better hope Biden doesn't get elected. You better hope that motherfucker doesn't get elected because China is, feeding the Democratic Party millions of dollars each year. So that's why every time a Democrat gets in the White House, there's all this great trade bullshit with China. But that actually works against America. So you better hope Donald Trump stays in the fucking White House because he's the only person that can really handle this situation. And you don't want Democrats running shit anymore. Um, so, you know, you, they must have some kind of quantum computing system that they fed a lot of variables into and came out with this, scenario where the best scenario would be releasing it. But based on the fact that this girl disappeared and the government covered it up, I mean, you have to think on a quantum level, and go into all these different probabilities as well. So, is it possible that she got paid or she was threatened or something that she had to leak this virus? Well, yes, it's possible. But when you look at the communiques that were discovered by the research center president in the video, you'll see that he estimates that it was leaked and he wasn't even aware of it. So we're talking about some deep cover bullshit on an espionage level that is like, really difficult to fathom. This girl's family must have been threatened, so she was forced to leak it, and nobody knew about it but her and the people that were making her do it. Okay, more than likely somebody fucked up. I'm thinking more than likely somebody fucked up, and China was considering this, but they weren't sure they wanted to do it. Excuse me, I'm making food. I don't want to stop the video again, so I will continue this as I stir my chicken So it's possible that, it was just a fuck up. And as far as Chinese people go, they're good at fucking shit up. And in the video, you also see this lady who worked at a high level P4 laboratory, and she talks about the standards being lax even in America. So certainly, because China is the way it is, the standards at their P4 labs must be just as bad, probably worse. Considering this P4 lab is on a college campus, that's really fucked up. I don't really know what the logic is behind that. Uh, in America, these things are guarded under lock and key with military installations and fucking, they'll shoot your ass if you come within so many meters of it. But this P4 lab is on a college campus, so I don't think this is a conspiracy, but it could be, considering, you look at the chain of relationships here, and something is going on. I don't know. I'm not in the canoe, you know what I'm saying? But I can tell you that Chinese regulations and control are all fucked up. So I think more than likely what happened was this shit got out and they said let it go. They probably said let it go. Let's let this go for a couple of weeks and see what happens. Um, Probably didn't start off as intentional, but when they realized the potential that it had and realized what they could do with it, they probably let it go. They probably intentionally let it go. Now the other side of that coin is they didn't know how to deal with it, and they were like, "What the fuck? What are we supposed to do?" Um, Maybe the officials in that city knew because the elections were coming up, as we've talked about, and they didn't say anything. But there was enough information that let out by people that worked there much earlier than late December, as far as the first week in December, as well as the doctors, as well, that they probably had some idea that something was going on. So, like I said, I don't think this was intentional, but there's definitely a cover up of the highest magnitude and a fuck up of a universal scale. Um, so that's my idea about the conspiracy theory, is that I don't think it was intentionally done, and if it was done, they had to factor into a lot of different things. And this was in the making on like a scale of planning like 911 in America. So you're talking about a long time in in the designing stage and the calculation stages. Now, I'm curious though, if you look at the situation like this, they're going after the infrastructure. America's infrastructure is being weakened slowly by this virus. China's renminbi cannot really control the market in any way, shape, or form. It's so weak, no country will use it. But if they create a system of economic currency that could supplant the dollar as a way of commerce in the world, and the country that owns that, manages it, controls it, they control the currency. So my question is, what the fuck is America doing? I don't understand why American politics do not understand Chinese psychology or how to deal with them. They do not understand how dangerous China is. The American government, for all its intel, does not display any kind of logical thinking in their approach with dealing with China. China will allow you to bully them. They are passive aggressive. They will allow you to bully them and push them only to use that force, spin around, and smack you in the fucking head with it in a way you didn't see coming. And the American government, if it does not get its shit together, will be destroyed by China in a way that they cannot fathom. China already owns WHO. They already own the Democratic Party. They're getting their hands into all kind of industry in America. you know, it's time for the American government to put its foot down and say, fuck you, China, and cut it off. Get Chinese people out of America, get Chinese, get American factories back home, stop doing business with China, cut it off. India, England, they've demanded reparations from China. Okay, well, you need to start a coalition. You need to organize a coalition that will enact trade sanctions against China. If you're asking for money, you're asking for a handout. If you impose sanctions, which you have the ability to do it. Stop fucking around with this government because the CCP will destroy America. And Americans, with this virus, 20,000 people are affected a day, more and more people are dying. I don't understand how China can control it so well, but America, with all its technology and high level shit, can't do anything but sit there and American society is filled with apathy and lethargy. And that is what China is. They already knew that. They already knew how Americans would respond to this situation, whether it was intentional or not. They allowed it to happen after, they allowed it to spread after it happened because they knew. I have been in China for 12 years and I know how to deal with this shit better than the American government with all its high level people. I don't think the government really has any intelligence anymore. I don't know what's going on with the American government, but this situation would not have happened, under Bush, who was the head of CIA. And with Reagan, that administration basically sold out America to foreign companies. So it wasn't just China at that point in time; it was other countries too. But we haven't had a solid president since JFK. Johnson was a moron. Nixon was a moron. Uh, you know, Carter was a moron. I don't really know what the problem is with American politics. Um, Even Bush, with his signing of the Steroid Control Act, was just a patsy for Orrin Hatch's Senator Orrin Hatch at that time. In Utah, the Mormons make a lot of supplements, and the supplement companies lobbied on behalf or Senator Orrin Hatch lobbied on behalf of lobbied Congress in a senatorial way on behalf of these supplement companies to ban steroids. Steroids are probably the best thing to happen to any country because managed and administered properly, they increase longevity, they increase red blood cell count, and indirectly white blood cell count as well, helping the immune system. So you have a more productive society that can contribute